How good is good enough? Hey, it's Chris the Batman Statue Collector. Welcome back once again to Brotherhood of the Bat Collectibles. And if it is your first time viewing, I hope you enjoy the content. Please subscribe and hit the like button if you haven't done so already. I can't thank you guys enough. Now, recently, if you watch the channel, you know that I just got a brand new Prime 1 Studio Blitzway piece, 1/3 scale, Michael Keaton, Bruce Wayne Batman. So basically, it's Michael Keaton, 89, in a tuxedo, very simplistic piece. And it is a very cool piece. I'm really glad that I got it. But at the same time, a lot of you have chimed in saying, hey, Chris, it's not very good. Like, it's not very good likeness. It's not as good as Blitzway usually does, and so on and so forth. And if you watch that video, I did say that to me, it's way better in person. So I want to remind everybody of that. But at the same time, it's also, like for me, it's like 85% there. And a lot of people in the live unboxing said the same thing. They said 85 to 90% there for them. And it got me thinking, and actually some of you even posed this question in our Facebook group. And if you're not a member there, please join us there. It's Batman Statue Collector Brotherhood of the Bat Collectibles on Facebook. It's a very positive community, so thank you very much for everybody that's joined. It's been phenomenal. We have over 8,000 members, so thank you very much for that. So anyway, when it comes to this Michael Keaton piece, a lot of you said, you know, it looked like Ray Liotta or different, like all these different people. Like there's all these different photos, and some of them were very valid. And I was like, I could absolutely see it for sure. But it got me thinking of this question, and maybe even somebody even said something similar to this in Facebook, and they said, how good is good enough? Like when is it good enough for your collection if the likeness is not there? Okay. When it comes to, you know, like what the prototype looks like versus what we actually get in hand. Okay. And so that's a very, very valid question. I know that recently there's been some controversy with the in-art Joker piece. That has sparked a lot of controversy because it is a very, very expensive piece. And is the likeness as good as the prototype? Now, the prototype usually is always going to be better than the production. Okay. And if you're new to collecting, a prototype is like they make one, right? They have master painters. They have the best of the best working on this, and then they send it to the factory, and it's the factory's job to match it, to match the master, right? And oftentimes they do a really good job, especially like Prime 1 Studio, I think does a phenomenal job. To me, all of their stuff usually looks like the prototype, almost always. Sometimes in other companies, we might see a slight downgrade in like maybe paint, or maybe the sculpt gets skewed just slightly, like maybe like a face is a little thicker in the prototype, but then when they go to production, it slims down a little bit, it shrinks. And that happens sometimes. There is like some shrinkage whenever they go to print these things. So there obviously is always going to be some sort of difference between the prototype and the production, okay? But usually they're pretty close. But again, what is acceptable? What is acceptable is something that you get in hand. If it does not look like the prototype, if it looks awful, should you return it? If you're not happy with it, yes. If the company has a good return policy, 100% send it back. But if it's close, like for me, if it's, I don't know, like 5% close compared to what we saw, I'm pretty happy with that usually. But when it comes to likeness, I don't feel like with this Michael Keaton one, I don't feel like it's much different than what we were shown. And I showed a really close-up photo, and everybody's like, oh, it's like way over painted. It's way like over freckled. I had a complete blown up close-up. When you look at it in real life, I mean, the head's like this big. It's very good. But is 85% good enough? Well, that's always going to be very subjective. In my opinion, it's good enough to keep, or I would have already put it on eBay, or I would have already sold it. Now, some of you have said, Chris, is it good enough for your cave? In the long run, is it going to be good enough? Well, at least for now, until maybe they make a different one. Maybe J&D will make a $3,000 one or something. I don't know. And that's really one of those things where you have to just weigh it out. It's always going to be subjective. It's always going to be personal. What's good enough for you? But if it's not good enough, if it's something that you're like, oh, this does not look anything like Michael Keaton, then chances are you're not going to want to keep it because it's always going to bother you. It's always going to be nagging at you. It's always going to be scratching at the back of your neck like, oh, I hate this thing because it's not good enough. And if you feel that way about a piece, get rid of it. Let somebody else enjoy it for a while that might not care as much as you do. Because it will always weigh on you. Okay? I've had pieces like that, and guess what? They're no longer in the Batcave. They might be in the Batcave for a little while, but at the end of the day, they're not going to last very long. So if something does not meet your standards in terms of production compared to the prototype or likeness, if something is not good enough for you, move on from it because chances are it's always going to drive you crazy. And it's taking up valuable space and money that you could be having something brand new in that space. Now, I also would say this, though. I would say live with it for a little bit. Don't get it in immediately. Now, if you do have a return window, if you have a 30-day return window, then yeah, I get it. You gotta move on quickly. But if you have it for a while and like, it's actually not that bad. It's actually growing on me. I've had a lot of pieces that have grown on me over the years. I'm curious if you have as well. That maybe when you first got it, you were like, hate this thing. It's awful. And then you've had it for 6 months and you're like, actually, it's pretty awesome, actually. I wasn't ready for it yet. You know, sometimes things are like before their time. Have you ever experienced that before? Like a movie that you hated at first, and then after a while, like, this is actually a really great movie. It's just sometimes things are ahead of their time. Sometimes pieces are like that, where they're ahead of their time, or they maybe don't fit your collection until other pieces join it. And then you're like, oh, wait a minute, this actually works really well now. It's interesting. But again, to kind of sum up this video, I do feel like if something's not good enough, if it doesn't meet your criteria, generally you're probably going to move on from it. And that's okay. Get your money back. Move on to something that will inspire you, that will keep and hold your passion, and will not take up valuable space in your collection. Okay? But for me, I'm going to sit on it for a little bit. I don't know if I'll end up with this forever or not. Now, the 89 Batman will probably stay forever, unless they make a returns, because that's my favorite suit. But I'm really happy with the Batman. But Michael Keaton, I get it. 85%. That's not perfect. And it is expensive. And there have been other companies that have produced, likenesses that are like close. I feel like a lot of the companies are getting better and better with each release. Again, I'll mention J&D. I feel like their Sean Connery's phenomenal. They keep getting better, but they're really expensive. So sometimes you also have to weigh that out too. Is the value that you paid worth it? Again, going back to that J&D Joker, there's a lot of people canceling. There's a lot of people saying it's not worth the price point for what we were promised. I don't think that the prototype is off from the production that far. I mean, I feel like it's pretty close. But at the same time, it's a lot of money. So again, you have to weigh it out. Art will always be subjective, always. So if it's worth it to you, keep it. If it's not, move on. Okay? Again, I don't know if we solved any problems today, but I hope you enjoyed me kind of talking for a little bit about this topic. But I definitely want to hear you weigh in on how you feel about this. When is enough? Is it good enough to keep or not? Let me know your thoughts, okay? Anyway, I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Thank you for continuing to support this channel. I cannot thank you guys enough. I love each and every one of you, and I hope you all are having a great 2025 so far, or whenever you're watching this, maybe in the years to come. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you soon right here in the Batcave. Bye, everybody. Hey guys, thank you so very much for watching today, and if you're new here, please hit the subscribe button right here on the screen and check out these 2 awesome videos. I think you're going to love them. And also please join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. I would love to have you join in all the fun. Thank you guys so very much for watching. See you in the Batcave.